Hey, I want to talk about this Fender IR manager thing for the Tone Masters. I've got a lot to say about it, but instead of rambling, I'm going to try to get to some of the specific points because I know when you guys turn on these YouTube videos, you want to get right to some of the important stuff, and then I'll save my rambling till later. I am a rambler and not in an adventurous cowboy sort of a way, more of a diaper me up and lock me in a government room type rambler. So, what I wanted to show you is the USB at the back. I had trouble finding it. I had to look it up on the computer, so I'm gonna move this thing over to the dog's got a bed over there, so that's a good place for me to put it down soft. I just want to show you where the USB is and some caveats with the that you can run into with the USB connection. Is caveats the right word? Got a flashlight here. Probably gonna need it. Okay, so I've got the Tone Master Deluxe Reverb. You may have the Twin, the Bassman, the Princeton, or what else is out there? There's Deluxe, Twin, Bassman, the Princeton. There's and the Super Reverb. All right, so I'm gonna find a soft spot to put it. I suggest you do the same. The USB thing that we're looking for is dead in the middle. Now let me tell you about USB things. Again, we get rambling here, but some of this stuff's important. I had to find a cable. Okay, now this cable works. There's 4 wires, or if you want to get fancy with it, you call it 4 conductors. It's one of these D shape. So I don't know if I can't remember if it's called a micro or a mini, but it's certainly not your USB-C, and it's certainly not your Thunderbolt shape. Do you see that it's this D shape? So I had to look that up too. It wasn't obvious that it was a D shape, and I have to have 4 wires in here. And you say, well, how do you know you got 4 wires in here? Well, I don't, because I had tried these other cables. See, here's one just like it. This cable would not do it. I hooked this cable up, it wouldn't do it. And I've got others here. This is where I hang all my USB stuff. So the point is to find a proper 4 conductor, which is a fancy way of saying 4 wire USB cable. So since I found this one and I know it works, I just leave it with the amp. It belongs to the amp now. So now you might be asking yourselves, where's the damn USB plug? Well, it took me forever. It is in the middle of the amp. I'm just going to pull this flashlight down, and I'm going to push this thing on its face because it's going to land soft on this bed here. And I'm going to use my flashlight here to try to show you where this dang thing is. There you go. You see that? You can see the D shape as well, and you can see this red light. This red light's an important piece of the puzzle because when you're firmwaring, it will blink. There's the firmware button. That's the button that you would hold when you hook this to your computer. Turn the Tone Master off with your Tone Master off switch. Hold this bad boy for, I think it's 30 seconds, and it'll go into firmware mode. And then this thing will become a drive. The Tone Master will become a shared drive on either your PC or your Mac. I did it on a Mac. You may be doing it on a Mac or PC, but it works for both, so who knows. So this stupid thing is hard to get to, like especially with this thing. You could take this off if you wanted to help yourself out, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to plug it in right now. And I think it's the flat side of the D. And can I do this? Sorry, I'm operating with one hand here. Yep, there we go, I got it. So I've cheated here by putting the whole thing down on its face and connecting it now. So now that I've done that, I can take my flashlight out here. This flashlight's a pain in the butt because it's multi-press off, and I hate that. Look at that. Just be off. Okay. All right, let's grab this. Now you're going to want to get in range of your computer. So I got a Mac Mini over here, just enough space on my desk to do this. You're going to want to power it too, so make sure your power cord can get over there. So I'm all out of breath. I'm not feeling too well today. I had to actually skip my workout, which I hate to do. All right. There we go. We've plugged it in. And now I'm going to plug the USB in. This video really is about the IR manager. We'll get there. I'm just showing you all the things you're going to need to do to firmware the damn thing so that the IR manager will even work. If your IR manager software from Fender doesn't hook up, you probably don't have the right firmware. You have to have, I think it's 2.3 and higher for this new IR manager to work. So, you recall the red button and you recall the switch. Well, I'm going to put this bad boy into firmware mode so that I can show you. Now, if this doesn't reach, it does reach. It does reach, okay. I'm going to go ahead and put this USB in now, and it probably nothing will happen, which is good. Sorry, I feel like I'm 90 years old right now. I just don't feel good. Probably got the Fauci, the Obama Fauci sauce. Let's see. So it's off right now. I'm going to go ahead and hold the firmware button while I'm booting the amp, and that'll put it into firmware mode, and it'll become a drive on the computer. So I'm going to locate that button with my finger. Okay, I'm holding the button, turning this on. And we should now be in flash mode. And you can see that the jewel light at the front is flashing, and the red light down here is also flashing. I don't know if I can get a shot of that or not. Maybe I'll peek this way at it. There you go. You can see it reflecting off of here. That's that light that's underneath is flashing. So this thing should be patiently awaiting firmware. And I only show you all this because you're going to have to do all this if you're going to get into this IR manager. This is all the prerequisite stuff you got to do. It's got to be 2.30 at least. Is it 2.30? Let's read. It's going to be 2.03. I'm sorry, 2.03 at least to use the manager. Let's go into my Finder and Fender amp. See, Fender amp showed up on my Mac, and it should show up on your PC as well. This is where you would drop the firmware. Now, I've downloaded the proper firmware for my Mac, for my amp, which was an IMG file. So mine says ToneMaster_Deluxe 2.0.3.0.img. So make sure, obviously, if you've got the blonde ToneMaster Deluxe Reverb, do the blonde firmware. If you got the black one like I do, do the black firmware. You got the Princeton, the Super Reverb, the Bassman, the Princeton, do your proper firmware. I had to Google around a bit to find these downloads. I found they weren't too easy to find until I kept clicking Fender's links and going nowhere. So I don't know if it's just Google in my part of Canada, but it took me some doing to actually find the right files, but I finally did. So in the States, it's probably better because the Fender website is better in the States, and the States is better than Canada. Anyway, now we will, what are we going to do now? So I would drag my firmware to this Fender amp folder. It's going to swallow it up, and according to these instructions, once booted, the firmware update LED next to the micro USB will slowly blink to indicate the amp is in firmware update mode. That's the stage we're in now. Connect a USB data cable from the ToneMaster amplifier to your Mac or PC. The USB charging cables may not work. That's why I said make sure you get a 4-wire cable. A 2-wire cable that'll just charge your phone won't do it. You have to have a proper 4-wire USB cable. And I believe it's a micro, if it's going to tell me that. A micro or a mini. It's the D-shaped one, the small D. If it says it on here, I will tell you. It doesn't seem to say it too cleanly. You guys will know the connection when you flip the amp over and take a good look. Drag and drop the firmware update IMG file into the Fender amp folder, which is what I was telling you. The update LED will blink quickly to indicate the update is being applied. This process should continue for 30 to 60 seconds. Once the update is completed successfully, the firmware update will stop blinking and remain on, and the amplifier will auto-eject from the computer. That's how you know when it's done, when that Fender amp folder disappears from your Mac or from your PC, you know it's completed. If the update was successful, disconnect the USB cable and power cycle the amplifier to return to normal operation. If the update was unsuccessful, the firmware update LED will stop blinking. Then you want to do a factory reset, okay? So let's just pretend that I've done the whole firmware update now. I can go ahead and I can unplug from my Mac. I can now take my USB cable here, and I can unplug it as well. Don't need it hooked now. You know, your choice, but I'm not going to use this cable for anything else. This is going to belong to this amp from now on. I'm just putting it in there. They're cheap. Those cables are pretty cheap on Amazon. Get yourself a 6 or a 10 footer and just, you know, it lives with the amp now. Just do yourself a favor. Okay, so here's the next thing you need to do is the factory reset. Now, the Tone Master Deluxe Reverb amplifiers support either firmware. Okay, sorry. A factory reset is necessary after changing the firmware options. So if you firmwared, you need to factory reset. It returns the amplifier to its original factory settings and clears any IR stored on the amp. Initiate a factory reset by holding the firmware update button with the amplifier powered on. Now, that button I showed you back there with the blinking red light, the difference is I had held it while I was turning the amp on. That puts it in suck the firmware mode, right? That's not what we're doing this time. This time, we are factory resetting. So let me get out of firmware suck mode. We'll turn the amp back on and wait till this jewel light is everything. This jewel light tells you your status. So let's just wait till things are normal. You'll know it's normal because it's going to stop blinking. And now is when I could actually play, right? Okay, so now, no USB cable hooked up. We haven't touched that button in the back. Now the amp is on and in a normal state. I would reach behind and hold that button up for 10 seconds. Initiate a factory reset by holding the firmware update button with the power amplifier power on until the firmware update LED turns on. So I'm going to hold that button at the back for 10 seconds until that red light at the back bottom, at the one in the back bottom, turns on. Approximately 10 seconds. Then you power cycle the amplifier to return to normal operation. Power cycle just means you turn the power off and back on, and voila. Now we're ready to go. Now, stupid me, I shouldn't have unplugged that cable. You know why? Because the whole point of this video was to show you this software, and to show you this software I need the USB back on. So I really wish I had not unplug that. So this is going to be a treat and a half. Now I have to try to get this USB cable back up there without it tilting on. We'll see if we can do it. I'm just going to find with my finger. It is such a pain in the butt. I don't know why they couldn't have put the why they couldn't have put the cable somewhere better. I'm just going to try to blindly find that little D micro here. I can find the button. Here it is. I found it. Yeah, this is going to make for some great YouTube. Bam, I got it. I just got lucky and got it. Okay, so now the video begins. We firmwared it. We factory reset. Now it's time to hook to the manager software. So I'm just going to go ahead and USB up to my Mac. I'll use this little bridgey guy connection. Because the new Macs don't have any USB-A's on them, unfortunately. They suck for that. And now I should be able to turn on my IR Manager app. Let's see. Yep, and it found it. So here was the point of the whole damn video. So the rest of it, at the beginning of this video, I wanted to show you that you needed to firmware it, how to firmware it, where that little button is, where the light is. Now we're in the IR Manager. I gotta cough my head off because we made it this far. They kept this nice and simple. If you come up to the gear up here in the top right corner, you could set the reverb taper to vintage or modern, which is great. That is the logarithmic non-linear way the reverb tapers. So I keep it to vintage because I'm a cool guy like that. And actually it was set to vintage when I first got it. The other option is modern. So if you're more of a modern player, I know you kids like your Goo Goo Dolls and your Rembrandts. Isn't that the band that played the Friends theme song? You might want modern, you know? You might want modern reverb, but for the rest of us that just play good music, we're going to leave it at vintage. I have my bright cap off. I think it's smoother and, you know, not as bright. And I like the bright cap off. I can tell that my firmware version is 2.0.30 because it says it. I have an about button, just kind of gives some information about this software. And then the only other thing to see here, Fender has kept this nice and simple, and that's, let's call it 0, 1, and 2, or you call it 1, 2, 3. I call it 0, 1, and 2. And that's the 3 positions on the back. And what we're talking about here is the 3 impulse and mic combinations for the switch on the back. Let's go find the switch on the back. So the switch on the back in question is, and I need to go get my light, I guess. I'm just going to grab the flashlight. The 3 switches are off, 1, and 2. And this is your out. This is one of the best things about this mic is it's got this direct record out. So off I call 0 or off, 1, and 2. So what those pertain to in the software is these 3 rows. Let me shut this multi-click stupid flashlight off, and we'll come up here. And don't worry, I haven't even started rambling yet. I still got to ramble at the end of this video. Off, 1, and 2. So this manager is beautiful because now we can insert different preferred combinations of cab sims and mics and speakers. Well, I shouldn't say speakers. Into these. So that off position was always off. It doesn't have to be. I can decide when it's off, it can be a Sennheiser, I think, E906 on the cone. Let's just put that in there. Give me the E906 on the cone, and I'm just going to drag it and drop it. Bam. Now that off position's not off. I would get the E906 right on the cone instead. I can also set a low cut and a high cut. That's beautiful. I can do all my low cuts right here on the back of the amp, right? And then I hit save to amp. That's this red button up here. And she saves the amp. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. Now, I don't want my 0 position or my off position to have a Sennheiser E906. I hope it's a Sennheiser. I could have the mic wrong. It could be something else. Apologize if it's... I'll just call it the E906. I'm going to take my off and slide it back. I really want it to be off. And then I save it to the amp. Beautiful. That's what my amp's going to look like at the back. Now, I'm a guy, despite all this work, that happens to love the defaults. The default position, factory position 1, is the SM57 with the N12K. Factory position 2 is the Royer R121 ribbon mic. I'm happy with the factory stuff, but if I needed to try an MD421 or an RE20, an Electro Voice, I think RE20, or an AKG C414, or an M160 ribbon mic, like they give you a lot of options here. Oh, and you can also do a mix. So let's say I want a 121 and an SM57 mix. Put that in my off position, or my first position, or my second. It's just beautiful. I hit save. It flashes to the amp. It's really, really well done. In terms of interface, they could show a lot of other companies how it's done, because they've kept this so simple. Fender does such a nice job on this IR manager. I do want the off back, so I'm going to hit off. I'm going to save it, because I am, despite all this work that I just did, I am happy with the factory defaults. Although, I think I don't mind the low cuts being at, let's bring them low cuts up to about 66-ish, so that in case I forget to do it, I low cut my guitars anyway, so that ain't going to hurt. So I'm going to low cut them both. I'll leave the high cut filters up, and then I will low cut. Yeah, I'm going to save it. Nah, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. I'll just leave it the way it is. I'll low cut it with my my Tascam Model 24 here has a 100 hertz low cut on every channel. So I'll just low cut with my board and, of course, low cut with my Waves plugins. But, yeah, so that's that. So, what led me here? Now, you can turn the video off because I'm not going to talk so much about the IR manager. I'm going to talk about how I come across the IR manager, how I even knew it existed, because of what I've been doing in the studio and the sort of dilemma I've been having. So I just undid the cable, and you can see that the software knows right away that the amp is gone. which is fine. And I will just, like I said, unhook the USB cable and just let it live with the amp. That USB cable belongs to the amp now. I suggest you do the same. I mean, save yourself the grief, later on when you go to firmware your amp and you're like, I can't find a dang cable, half of them are out in the car, in the glove box, and I lent one to Susie, and, just buy a dang 4-wire cable and stick it in the back of the amp and be done with it. So, what led me to this? How did I find the IR manager? Well, I got it Googling around about my dissatisfaction of the FR12. I bought a Fender FR12. I apologize, I'm out of breath. I can't breathe tonight. So I got the Tone Master Pro right over here, right? And I got this bad boy. And I gotta tell you, I play this all the time, and I like the way it sounds. Deluxe reverbs can be a little boring, a little vanilla, but you throw a Big Muff on them or something, some other pedals on them, they really open up. I really have a lot of fun as an amp in the room, as they say, which just means I'm listening to a real guitar amp in the room, having fun blasting the Big Muff with my Jazz Masters or whatnot, having a lot of fun doing it. With this one, okay? Well, then I bought this thing, which is really expensive. And I know it's divisive and polarizing, and it makes some of you guys mad, and some of you guys cheer me on when I say it, but I don't like the sound of this Tone Master. And I don't like the price of it either. And I've said that. This is the third one I've owned. I keep buying them and selling them. One thing that's decent is you can sell them easy and you can buy them easy. So in Canada with tax, they're about $2,500. But you can sell them for $1,800 all day, or I've returned one. And you could buy one and you're not going to eat the $2,500, because you can always sell them for $1,800, $1,900, $2,000 in Canada anyway. I just know, just believe me, I know because I've done it, right? So you're not going to eat the whole $2,500. Just consider that you've bought one and you're going to get $2,000 back or $1,800 back eventually. You've just outlined an investment in it. But I don't like the thing. I've been bringing it to people's houses and playing. I brought it to a guy's studio a few times. I usually bring a Telecaster, sometimes an SG, sometimes a Strat, and I have more fun bringing my Deluxe Reverb Tone Master, which is a fake amp, right? It's a cell phone in a box, as opposed to this frickin' thing, which I feel like is a Fisher-Price adult busy box, and I'm always going, I'm just like screwing with it, tap dancing on it, playing with the settings. Oh, do I want this? Oh, do I want this? Oh, it's got 500 kinds of EQ. Oh, look at 5,000 kinds of tremolo. Oh, and they all just sound the same, There's like 60 distortion pedals in here, and they all sound the same. Whereas, if I come grab my pedals, this is my B list. My A list of pedals is at another guy's house. But if I come and grab my pedals, that's when I get that analog rock and roar, That's when I feel like I got an amp in the room. That's when I get my compliments from people. When the other band members stop playing and they're smiling at you going, yeah, Nobody's complimenting me on this tone. I'll tell you that. Nobody's going, that really sounds good. And for $2,500, you would hope that 2,500 people would tell you that sounds good, so that it costs $1 at every time. That's not what's happening. If I really want compliments, if I really want people to know what I'm doing and they're smiling at me after a song going, dude, well, guess what? This is the one I get the compliments on. That's a real tube amp. It's a Rocker 15. I don't know why I want to call it a Rocker 16. This is because I'm a computer guy and I'm like, the Rocker 32-bit, 16-bit. It's not, but it's the Rocker 15 because of 15 watts, right? If I want compliments, if I want to turn heads, if I want to melt faces, it's this. If I want to play some clean country and have some, Fender chime, it's this with, big muffs and rats and DS1s, you know, all the usual distortion suspects. Sure, a Klon, sure. If I want people to say, hey man, you sound like you're on a faraway television, or you sound like you're a picture of someone playing guitar, it's this fake thing right here. Yeah, it doesn't sound good. And you guys are like, well, you got to EQ this and EQ that, shove this thing up your butt and blah, blah. And I'm like, well, should I have to? You know, and you're like, you don't know how to use it. It's just like, well, that's weird because I know how to use this, and pretty good with all this stuff, you know, and this. And I've been an IT guy for 25 years. I'm an IT manager. I've created software and done electrical engineering. I've had other engineers critique me. You know, it's just like, I'm not a dummy. So when they're like, you just don't know how to use this, it's like, well, that's Fender's fault. I'm not dumb. I'm a smart dude. So if you're saying I don't know how to use this, that's not on me, man. I'm a software engineer / hardware guy / CompTIA certified dude. You know what I mean? Like, tech is my world. So if you're saying that I'm using the Tone Master wrong, that's not on me. That's on Fender. But I don't think I am using it wrong. I think it sounds bad. And I have guitarists that are better than I am, that have ears better than I do, that have musical credentials better than I do, in my corner on this. You see some guys on YouTube review this really quick, but you're not seeing a lot of guys hang on to this. You're not seeing a lot of guys, you know, The Edge from U2 or somebody like that, or Jack White or somebody going, gotta have that Tone Master Pro. Not a lot of guys are hanging on to them, so pay attention to that. And it goes the same with the FR12 that I had down here. That's the FR cabinet that I had down here. So, big time rant here, but so, because this was sounding so crap, I was like, I gotta get the FR12 down here, and I'll just replicate this with this in an FR12, and then I'll get rid of this. Well, no, that's not what ended up happening. I tried to replicate this with this in an FR12, and I couldn't get it to do it. It just sounded so fake. It sounds like, I guess, what it sounds like through a studio monitor, and you might be like, well, that's good. That's what a record sounds like. Yeah, but that's not what live music sounds like. A produced, recorded, mixed, live CD, vinyl record through studio monitors is a different sound than live in the room. And I could not get this and the FR12. Sure, it was loud as hell, but that just showed it was just fake and loud and plastic and loud and crappy and loud, you know? Whereas this is like loud and sounds like an amp. Again, I don't love this one either. I take a lot of grief from you dudes for trading my AC15. I had a Vox AC15 that I traded in for this. You guys are always kicking my butt for that. And I get it. Yeah, the Vox AC15 is the better, more real amp, but it's heavy as hell, right? I do love what this amp does sometimes. Again, if I want to melt faces, I'm fishing for compliments, looking to do a good job, I'll bring this little ripper out. And it gets the job done every time. But I guess I am comparing Fenders to oranges. You know what I mean? Boom. So anyway, hey. This was mostly about the IR Manager with an add-on rant about I don't like the Fender Tone Master Pro. I'm going to try to make a ton of videos of it because I want to try to recoup my money via YouTube videos. So I'm going to be doing a lot of comparisons. Like this has got big muffs in it, so we're going to do like the orange big muff versus the Tone Master big muff, the Russian big muff versus the wah versus the DS1. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to try to milk the Tone Master Pro in YouTube videos to get my money back. But eventually I will sell this. I'll probably hang on to it for 6 months or a year, and then I will sell it. I just don't like it, guys. Unless they come up with some extremely magical firmware that fixes it. And again, you know, lots of you guys are going to go, I like it. It's like, okay. Preference, that's okay. You're not wrong if you like it. Sure. I'm not wrong if I don't like it. But I'll tell you, there's some guys with better guitar ears that are better guitar players with better musical cred than I have, and they also don't like this. And they're not influencing me because, I mean, if you know anything about me, I charge right into my opinion. one way or another. I'm just using them in this case to say, look, I know these guys have got good guitar ears because I've heard their recordings and they don't like this either. If I liked it and they didn't like it, then I would say I like it. So they're not really swaying me, but yes, I am at this moment using them as a, hey, look at those guys over there, don't like it either. Yes, I am doing that. But hey, well, this has been Quest for Gear, and appreciate you sticking around for the whole rant. If you like guitar pedals, drums, synthesizer, bass, and etc., consider liking and subscribing. Quest for Gear. We can complain about anything all day long. There's lots of stuff to complain around about here. All right, thanks for everything. Oh, hey, check out my buddy's Warheart Arts at his channel. That's at Warheart Arts. He's easy to find. And Mike Forrester. And you can also find him by looking at Mike Forrester, I Love Recording. And yeah, there's all kinds of cool guys to check out online. Check out Guitar Vacation. And you can check out... I just can't think of anybody right now off the top of my head. I can think of them, but I can't think of their names. How bad is that? Hey, anyway, like and subscribe, Quest for Gear. All right, thanks for watching.